my name's Nick Todd. Thanks for watching this video. I'm going to talk to you about why you should consider a career in technology. Now, before we talk about the career in technology, let's make sure that you're not already discounting yourself as someone who could do this. Many people assume that technology is for geeky people, technology is for really clever people, technology is for young people, but actually the industry is full of people who are not geeks, who are older, who are not graduates, who are not super clever. So it's an industry that potentially you could get into. I know because I've trained people in technology who've now got very successful development careers. Some of them were shop assistants, literally in stores, and now they are working in technology. So it's not for just graduates and super sort of switched on people who've done degrees and A-levels and all the rest of it. You don't need to have done all those things necessarily to work in technology. So what do you need? Well, I would suggest you need motivation. You need to be motivated to do it. You need to be interested in it, and you just need to have an aptitude for it so you can pick it up. If you can pick stuff up, are you the sort of person who can pick stuff up? If you can pick stuff up and run with it, then there's a good chance you can pick up technology and run with that as well. So don't disqualify yourself, would be the first thing. So the next thing is, why would you even consider it? Let me give you a few reasons why technology is a good area to get into as a career and as a job. Number one, the salaries are pretty good. So if you're motivated by money and you want a good salary, nothing wrong with that inherently, then technology is a good area to be in. A senior developer in the UK, average salary 48 grand, according to Glassdoor as of February 2018. So the salaries are good. A junior developer can be going in on mid-20s or even higher in parts of London. So the salaries are pretty decent. Yeah, that would be the first thing. Second thing I would say about working in technology is generally it's a very good work-life balance. Actually, there was a survey done recently. You can read about it on our blog post. It's discussed in the Huffington Post actually about jobs that have the best work-life balance. And in there, in the top 10, 5 of them are technology jobs, and number 4 is software developer. So in terms of best work-life balance, IT roles, generally, not all of them obviously, it depends on the company you're at, but generally speaking, it's a good work-life balance in IT. It's not work. It's a good balance with everything else. Number 3, a third reason. First reason, salaries are pretty good. Second reason, good work-life balance. Let me give you a third reason. Third reason is there's actually quite a lot of work out there. Companies are struggling to find people to fill roles. That's been the case for years now, and I know firsthand. I was CTO of a food delivery business, and I was recruiting, and just trying to find developers in Bristol, where we were based, was difficult. It was very difficult to find good developers, to find even junior developers. It's just hard to find people. There's not many people around. So companies are crying out for more people into the industry. That's why we're running Bristol Bootcamp, because we know in our city where I'm based that there are more jobs than there are people who can fill them at the moment. So that's another benefit of working in technology. There's lots of work for those with the right skills in technology. And I'd say number 4, another reason why it's a good area to be in, is interesting work. The variation of kinds of roles in technology are huge. So there are roles that are very much working with business partners and talking with customers and that kind of thing. There are roles around testing and making sure things work correctly. There are roles around development, building an application and seeing it used by customers. It's quite satisfying actually, and it's quite an interesting role, solving problems. If you like solving problems, then programming you probably have a good chance of enjoying, because it is all about solving problems and making stuff work, and then when you see the results, it's fantastic. So it's really interesting. You could be writing software that runs on the Mars probe. That was one team I worked with a little while ago. So their software was going to run on the probe that goes to Mars. There was another team that write the software that runs in car infotainment systems. So what they do runs in cars all over the world. It's quite interesting. It's quite, if you're interested in that kind of thing, there's lots of different kinds of software you can do. The software I wrote was used by restaurants across Bristol and London. When food arrived or orders came in to our food delivery platform, the restaurant would get the notification. I built that. It's quite satisfying when you build things like that, and you'll have opportunity to do that potentially, those kinds of things, if you're in the industry. So it's interesting work. And then another good thing about this industry is that there's no formal way to get into it. It's not like you have to have done a degree. It's not like an accountant where you have to do the accountancy exams, or if you were going to be a pilot, you have to qualify as a commercial pilot, and it's very expensive and labour intensive to do that. IT, there is no actual formal way in. There's different ways you can get it. I mean, here's a few suggestions. You want to get into IT, here's a few ways you could consider doing it. Number one, maybe a friend will employ you. You might think, well, that's a bit crazy. I don't know anyone who runs a business. Well, you might. If you do, that's a route in. That's how the reason I mention it is because that's how I got into IT in the first place. A friend employed me as a web developer back in the late 90s. So I was doing web pages. I didn't know how to do it initially, but I learned and worked out how to do it with him, with his help. So that's an option. Number two, you could do an apprenticeship. That's another way of getting into the industry. So complete an apprenticeship, and then that's the way. And I've run apprenticeship schemes myself for HMRC and DWP, and delivered the training on those apprenticeships, taking people who are straight out of school pretty much, and so they're usually early 20s. They've left school, they've done a few things, like I say, shops and stuff like that, those kind of jobs, and then they've applied for an apprenticeship, got that, and now they're developers successfully working away in those public sector organisations. So an apprenticeship can work. The third option, you could do a degree. That would be the sort of classic way into the industry, I suppose, but it's very expensive. You'll end up with a lot of debt. Or another option is complete a boot camp, which is what we run here in Bristol Boot Camp. So complete a program of intensive study to prepare you for work in the industry. And you come out of these boot camps, you go in it's zero to hero, if you like. You go in with no knowledge, or potentially no knowledge, and you come out with enough knowledge to get your first job in the industry. So the job of these boot camps, or the job of our boot camp as far as I'm concerned, is to get you your first job. Make sure that you come out and get a job at the end of it in the industry. So that's another way to get into IT. So if you're interested, if I've piqued your interest in getting involved in the IT industry, can I encourage you, sign up for one of our open days for our boot camp. You don't have to do the boot camp necessarily, but at least find out about it. We run these open days on a periodic basis. You can see the dates on our website, bristolbootcamp.co.uk, and you can have a look and see when the next one is and pop along. Or if you're not in Bristol, you're watching this somewhere else in the UK or in the world even, these boot camps exist.